Hello! Today I've got another makeup tutorial for you which is inspired by a certain time era. This time it's the 60s. For those of you who haven't seen my other time periods inspired makeups, the idea is just sort of, take inspiration from an advertorial from the time. So like not like the standard very extreme version of it, but really just the sort of makeup that a person from that time era, would wear to work on a regular basis. So yeah, the specific advertorial I used for this particular look as an inspiration, I showed very quickly in the video, and also you can find it if you just search 60s makeup ad on Google. And it's one of the first images. It's just one I really like because it just looks casual yet very cute. So yeah, personally I really like the 60s makeup. I'm not so much about the 60s hairstyle. Like, it was very straight, and straight hair, just as you can probably see, doesn't look all that good on me. So yeah, just pinned this back here, by the way, and just had this thing over it. And yeah, this part isn't my favorite, but I do really like the makeup, so let's get started. I'm gonna start out with the silicone primer by the Ordinary again, which sort of makes my pores look smaller, and it also helps keeping my face matte. So I'm just applying it where I get oily or where I have larger pores. Which you can see by where I put the little dots of the primer, and then I'm just tapping it out with my fingers. Followed by foundation. I always give the primer a little bit of time, like just a minute or so to set before starting on the foundation. But the foundation is the L'Oreal True Match in, I think, the shade Vanilla Rose, if I'm right. I'll put it down below in the description box along with the rest of the products I used. But I'm just applying it with a Sigma blender or Sigma foundation brush, a flat one, my favorite kind of foundation brush. And I'm also really making sure to put it around my eyes because, on the image there didn't really seem to be a lot of highlighting with concealer. So I really wanted to keep that to the minimum. I am going to use a little bit of concealer just to mask any darkness around my eyes. This one, yeah, it used to have a brand name on it, but it faded off and I can't for the life of me remember it. But I bought it off Born Pretty store. Just a cheap concealer in a very pale shade, and any concealer that matches you will do. It doesn't necessarily have to be way paler than your skin, because like I said, there didn't seem to be a lot of, yes, there was a loose hair in the brush, but there didn't seem to be a lot of highlighting on the image. And I'm just going to blend it out so there's no harsh lines left. This brush is from eBay, by the way. I keep having to remind myself to actually tell what brushes I'm using. But yeah, either way, as usual, I'm going to set it with my Peggy Sage Translucent Loose Powder, except I'm going to use my blender brush by Sigma this time, rather than the Real Techniques brush. For the simple reason that the Real Techniques brush was on my desk, and this one was, on the table in front of me, so it was just easier to grab. Doesn't really matter what brush you use, as long as it's powdered. This is just going to make sure that nothing will move of the foundation and concealer. And then I'm going to apply a whole lot of powder on the rest of my face using a large powder brush by Sigma. Which obviously goes quicker than the small tiny brush. But yeah, matte skin seemed to be rather a thing according to all the images I saw. So I really wanted to have my face nice and matte. And then for blush, I dug up this Chic blush, which is pretty much ancient. I can't even remember how old it is, but it was the only one I could find that actually matched the color. I'm just using a contour brush by Sigma for that. And yes, it smells like very cheap makeup. Very cheap and old makeup, but it does look quite nice actually. So yeah, I think I'm going to use it more often again, but it just came from a very old makeup set. One of those like, 100 pieces of makeup for like 20 bucks. Really cheap. Also did a little bit of a nose contour with that, and then moved on to my eyebrows. I'm using a pencil because I wanted sort of a softer look this time. It looked quite natural on the photo, so yeah. I'm just going to start out with a spoolie by Peggy Sage, and I really wanted it to be more rounded. It wasn't as thin and round as in the eras before the 60s, but it was still quite round and soft and just very friendly looking. So yeah, just use the Peggy Sage pencil to get that effect. And I do actually like this look of eyebrows. Like, I usually do, like a bitch brow, like the very spiky one, and I don't know, it does make me look sort of mean sometimes, even though I'm not mean at all, I promise. But this eyebrow just really made me look way more friendly, so I think I'm actually going to continue doing my eyebrows like this more often. But yeah, just filled them in and then sort of tapped at the front part to make it look like more of a natural start. And then just combed everything in place, and then that was it for the eyebrow. And then obviously I still have to do the other eyebrow. And after that it's time for the eyes. I'm going to use the Art Deco eyeshadow base again. It looks weirdly clumpy when applying it, but it does actually give a very nice result in the end. Like the clumpiness just disappears once eyeshadow hits it. So yeah, it's a weird product, but it does actually make the eyeshadow look more pigmented, so I guess that's good. And also I'll just show you the image that I actually use as an inspiration. It's this one over here. It's actually the cover of a CoverGirl magazine from the 60s. And the eyeshadows I'm going to use is, are the ones from this 120 color palette by BH Cosmetics. Of course, as always, you can use whatever products you have. You don't have to use the exact same stuff as me. So I'll just mention the colors. Obviously, the colors don't all have names, all 120 of them. But this is just a warm taupe shade that I'm applying with the Sigma brush, the blender. Then I'm using a smaller blender by BH Cosmetics to apply a sort of warm brown shade. And I'm really trying to blend it out. Like, it didn't look as if there was a lot of eyeshadow on the crease. It just looked dark. So it does need to look dark but natural, I guess. So yeah, I'm just blending this and just really keeping each color lower than the other colors. And I'm then finalizing it with black eyeshadow in the deepest part of the crease with a tiny brush by Urban Decay. This one came with the Vice XX palette. Just a very tiny blender, and I'm just very carefully keeping the black eyeshadow blended in the deepest part of the crease. I didn't want this to move up because I didn't want to do a smoky eye. It sort of reminds of the Twiggy look, but you know, less extreme. More of a natural version. And once that was blended as far as I could get it blended, I went back to the Sigma brush, the large blender, and just blended it out some more. And then it was time for the lid. I chose a pastel shade. There were lots of pastel shades in the images I saw, but I picked a pale blue one. Just because it happened to suit the jewelry I was wearing. I'm just using an eyeshadow applicator, an old-fashioned one for that, and just really packing it on there. And then I'm going to move on to eyeliner. I'm using the Kiko gel liner, which I have pretty much been using in every tutorial for the last couple of weeks. I just really love this product. And yeah, I'm just using my detail brush, nail art brush for this. And in all the images, the ladies did have eyeliner on, but not large, huge wings. It all looked more like friendly and soft, I guess. So instead of a cat eye, I'm doing more of a kitten eye, I guess. And as always, I'm just going to focus on the wing first, because that's the most difficult part to get right. And yeah, so I'm just really making a tiny little spike there. And then I'm just going to fill in the rest of the wing. And I'm not touching the very most inner part of the inner corner. Just because it was, because I wanted to keep that sort of more pale. And then I'm just going to use a white eye pencil by Peggy Sage to fill in my waterline. You could also use a nude pencil as long as it's pale enough to really brighten that under eye and just, you know, make your eyes look slightly bigger. So yeah, this one just sort of turns nude on the eye. Like, you could apply more and have it be stark white, but for this look I wanted it to be more natural. Then I'm going to use the Vertico mascara by Yves Rocher, which I actually got for free with a recent order at Yves Rocher. And I was seriously weirded out by how very tiny the wand is. Like, it's well, as you can see, it's friggin' small. Like, it's the smallest mascara wand I've ever seen. But yeah, I did want curled lashes, so then I decided to curl my lashes first with my Collie-Star eyelash curler. That's seriously the only one that doesn't stab me in the eye. Like, the other ones just seem to be either too small or too curved. I don't know. But either way, yeah, the mascara, it does perform well. You can obviously very easily get to the base of the lashes. However, for the top lash line, I do feel like it takes me slightly too much time in comparison to a mascara with a bigger wand. Like, the result was nice. The result was really nice. But it just took ages to get all my eyelashes coated. So I think for my top lashes I do prefer a mascara with a bigger wand than this one. However, for my bottom lashes I think it's absolutely perfect. Like, as you can see, they get dark and beautiful. And yeah, there's no mascara on my skin. Which is seriously really good. So I think I'm going to use this for my bottom lashes from now on. And then for my lips, yeah, the woman in the image had a nude lip, so I decided to do that as well, obviously. I'm starting out with a nude pencil by Peggy Sage, and the lip shape seems to be more, well, again, just like the eyebrows, more soft and rounded rather than with like really pointy stuff. Like, not a very pointy cupid's bow, just very soft and just, you know, friendly looking, I guess. That's really the only way I can describe it. This entire makeup just looks very friendly. But yeah, and then I actually used my only sort of shiny nude lipstick in the right shade. Which is this one by Tease, which I bought at the budget store. And it's, well, tastes and smells like crayons. Seriously, but nevertheless, the color is actually very beautiful. And it does last surprisingly long. So yeah, I just filled my lips in with it. And it turned out to be the absolute perfect color. I was sort of considering putting a lip gloss on top of it. But it proved to be not necessary. And I did tap it off with my finger just to remove any excess product. And I feel like this just makes the lipstick last longer. And then that's the final step, and here we have the final result. I actually really like how this look turned out. I actually am surprised about how much I love this eyebrow look. I definitely think I'm going to do my eyebrows like this more often. I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial. If you did, please click the like button, it would really help me out. And you could also subscribe to my channel if you'd like. I'm just going to finish off with a perfume of which I can't pronounce the name, so I'll put that in the description box as well. Can't talk. And for now, thank you very much for watching and see you next time. Bye!